Hello everyone, my name is Daryl. I work as a software developer, and in this video you'll watch how I naturally work through a LeetCode challenge. This is a problem that I'm seeing for the first time, and I'll explain myself as I work through it. My answer won't likely be the best or most efficient, it'll just be the one that I come up with first as I'm working through the problem. So today we're doing another LeetCode challenge on a database question with MS SQL Server. So this is number 601 on the website, called Human Traffic of Stadium. So looking at the schema here, we got the stadium table, and it has an ID, visit date, and people, which is an integer. Okay. So visit date's the primary key. Each row of this table contains the visit date and visit ID to the stadium with the number of people during the visit. No two rows will have the same visit date and the ID, and as the ID increases, the dates increase as well. Okay. So we're going to write a SQL query to display the results with 3 or more rows with consecutive IDs, and the number of people is greater than or equal to 100 for each. Turn the result table ordered by visit date in ascending order. The query result format is in the following examples. So there you have the stadium table. Just kind of looking at this here. So it goes up 1 through 8. The ending days are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they skip 8 and 9, but these are still increasing. And then you have people. And so this is going to display ID number 5 with that original visit date, because this one, and this one are over 100, and the amount of people in that. Okay. And it's going to show the 6th, and the 7th, and the 9th. So note that row 8 was included even though the visit date was not the next day. Yeah, that's fine. The rows with IDs 2 and 3, well, yeah, are not included because we need at least 3 consecutive IDs. So we're going to have some inner queries here. All right, so let's start with this is going to end up being an inner query. So let's just start with the outer query because I know what we're going to need to do. So this is going to be the complete outer query, which we are just going to select ID, visit, date, and the people from, and here we're going to have our inner query where ID is in, actually, this is just going to be from stadium, where the ID is in, and then this is going to be the inner query. And so we're going to make this inner query. It's just going to return the ID of the records that should be displayed. So first, we're going to select ID. Well, we're going to make s.id from stadium s inner join stadium s2 on s.id plus 1 is equal to s2.id, and we're going to inner join stadium s3 on s.id plus 2 is equal to s3.id. And by the way, in this outer one, we need to order it by visit, date, and ASC, or ascending, is the default. So it's going to be where s dot people is greater than 100, greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and s2 dot people is greater than or equal to 100, and s3 dot people is greater than or equal to 100. And what we need to do is union all this plus 1 and union all this plus 2. And I believe that should work. Okay, let's try submitting. All right, first try, and that worked. All right, so then that's actually a pretty good answer too, apparently. Better than 87.58% of answers, awesome. So I know this may look a little bit confusing, and obviously we have some duplication in here, but I'll explain how this works. So let's go back to the description here. So first of all, I realized when looking at this that I wanted to do this way where I have this outer query and then I just select the values where the IDs are in the values that returns from here. And that worked well with this solution because this solution will potentially and likely have duplicate values in these IDs. But since you're just using an in, it doesn't matter if you have duplicate values. It's not going to duplicate the results or anything. So as long as this inner query returns the IDs, completely disregarding whether there's duplicates, then there's no problems. And the way this works is, we'll just go over this one real quick. So we're selecting from Stadium, and we're just doing a double inner join where basically it has consecutive ID numbers, right? So where the original table's ID plus 1 is equal to s2.id, so that'll always return the next record. And then join it again where the s.id plus 2 is equal to s3's ID. So that's always going to join to the record 2 ahead of that. So it's only going to get records where there are 2 more. And then we're going to filter where all 3 of them have greater than or equal to 100 people. And now the reason I did the union all and these other select statements is because, so this query for this example would only end up returning row 5 and row 6 because row 7 wouldn't have 2 values afterwards to check. This the second inner join here would make it not show up in the results, and same thing with row 8, it wouldn't even be able to do any of those inner joins. So how we compensate for that is we return, so we know that if this ID is going to be in the results, then no matter what, we know we want it to return that ID and the next 2. So we can do the exact same query and manually add 1 to the ID and manually add 2 to the ID. Now, like I said, this is going to return duplicate results, right? Because we're going to have, the first time it's going to have 5, 6, and 7. And then like the second query is going to return 6, 7, and 8. And then, 6, 7, and 8. But once again, having duplicate values in this in statement doesn't matter because the duplicates essentially get removed because there's no duplicates that get returned from this outer query. So that's basically how that works. So thanks for watching. Hope that helped you guys out. Catch you guys next time.